Oh, we're gonna step right up to luxury land. It's a posh SUV for the Maybach brand. You join me inside the Mercedes-Maybach GLS600. This is the first ever Maybach branded SUV, and Mercedes intends to cash in on that name to elevate the GLS much higher in the luxury ranks in terms of comfort, style, technology, and they have their work cut out for them, because they will now be sitting across the table from vehicles like the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, the Bentley Bentayga, and the Land Rover Range Rover SVAutobiography, long as its name may be. So today we have to find out whether the Maybach GLS is just bits of chrome or something much, much more. That's today on Miles Per Hour. And there it is, the 2021 Mercedes-Maybach GLS600. And that's my shadow. This one right here is painted in Dizino Cardinal Red. And for an extra $360, which is not much as luxury vehicle paint shops go, this is a pretty nice paint color. It is not one of the duotone options that you can choose for the Maybach GLS that do help distinguish it from the rest of the GLS lineup, but I think the monotone is the way to go, especially with a nice color like this, because the duotone look kind of weird, in my opinion. The monotone, especially with the chrome accents and the wheels, looks good. That was a nice move. Now, before we get too deep into this review, let's talk about the channel real quick and how you should subscribe, because it's good for you. You'll get access to daily POV day drives, POV night drives, live Q&As and reviews. You don't want to miss out on any of that, so just hit subscribe and tap the bell to get notified so you can just start enjoying. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so simply by liking, commenting, and sharing this video. Super easy. If you want to help out in other ways, we've got MilesPerHr t-shirts and other merchandise. And we also have a Patreon account. Any of these ways are super helpful. Help us keep the content flowing. So thank you in advance. And on back to the Maybach GLS. Here at the front is really where you're going to tell the most differences in terms of design from the Maybach versus the GLS 580, because look at that grille. Look what it's missing. It doesn't have the giant TriStar right in the center that houses all the active safety features. Instead, you do have this non-transparent panel here that does get some reflection on it, so you can kind of tell it's there, that's going to house all of the same active safety features. But, you know, when you're just a step away, it really just looks like a continuous grille with these nice metal slats that taper very neatly right there. We'll see that design element somewhere else. But yeah, it's a good looking grille, and I think it does well without the giant TriStar. You do have Maybach lettering up top, all of this in chrome, and notice this, the TriStar hood ornament. Why is this interesting? Well, it is the first time we're seeing the Mercedes-Benz hood ornament on an SUV. First time. And you know what? I think it's kind of appropriate. Given how the Maybach GLS is looking to like really up the luxury game, you gotta make a stance, you gotta stand out. The TriStar hood ornament is a good way to do it. So that is distinctive for the Maybach as well. Down here, we've got unique lower bumper designs, chrome lip on the outside, all of this chrome mesh in here, rounded design features. It looks pretty good. If you like the chrome thing, you'll like this. Chrome front chin splitter. Again, a slightly different design than the regular GLS. Over the headlights, these are the adapted LED headlights as standard on the Maybach GLS. Mercedes calls them multi-beam LEDs. Hey, that's fun. But yeah, no different headlight designs for the Maybach versus the GLS, but they're still kind of like their top of the line LED headlights, adaptive and all that with the GLS. Good looking front end. Not my favorite front end for a luxury vehicle, but it is distinctive, and that's a thing. Moving to the side, other details for the Maybach. We're going to have body color matching fender flares. I think that's a really good move. It works so much better than the black plastic cladding there, or piano black. And it helps the body just flow seamlessly. Down here, the wheels, my goodness, the wheels, look at these things. So you can have as standard 22-inch wheels, or these optional 23-inch wheels that cost you an extra $5,500, but look fabulous. They're light alloys, and it's got this brushed metal or polished chrome look to them. You've got Maybach on the center caps. These are impactful. This is how you make a splash with your SUV. And they are wrapped in Pirelli P0 tires, 285 section at all four corners, I believe, or maybe it's wider at the rear. 325 at the rear. Miles, come on. 40 millimeters a difference. 285 front, 325 rear. There we go. But yeah, I like the wheels a lot. Are they worth $5,500? Well, when you're spending 160 plus for the car, maybe. Down here, we've got chrome details for the side sill. And notice what we're not seeing here is a running board. Why is that important? Because we will see a running board later. That's why. Body color matching mirror caps up top, and then kind of black plastic cladding down here. That's a little bit odd, and I don't know if that's standing up to the premium positioning of this vehicle. We got chrome window surrounds, and a chrome B-pillar is distinctive for the Maybach. Chrome for the roof rails up here. You can see a bit of the pano sunroof now. Chrome accents for the door handles. Notice they're not all chrome. You got body color matching and then chrome design up top. I like that. That looks cool. Getting to the back, we've got a Maybach logo crest thing back here. That's cool. See that, you know you're looking at the Maybach versus the regular GLS. In profile, it's just gonna look like the other GLS, except with those awesome wheels. And it looks a little, the back looks a little hefty, almost, I don't want to say it, minivan-esque. Whereas the AMG model, I don't think gave me that impression. It's a little more bold with wheel arches and all that. This one, a little more like that. But hey, I'm not going to fully say minivan. I'm just going to say it has a resemblance, perhaps, in profile. That's the only place it does that. Front and rear, not like that at all. So now here at the back. Sorry, the shadows are so harsh, but we've got GLS600 badging, chrome details around the LED taillights. The chrome bar runs across the whole middle, TriStar up above that, and Maybach lettering on the left-hand side. Cool LED light signatures, those are nice. Down here, one of the distinctive things for the Maybach is these reflector lights are raised from down there to up here and integrated within a chrome sill on top of the bumper kick plate thing. Then down here we've got a chrome diffuser, all chrome, all that chrome, and then distinctive exhaust finishers in there with this little blade line going through there, and two exhaust ports can be seen if you look closely deep back. Back end good, front end good, profile, it's all right. But it does definitely, in this color with those wheels, make an impact. That is mission accomplished. So let's hop in to the interior where things are gonna get much, much crazier. And on our way in, we can see we've got smart key access. You can leave the key in your pocket. Just put your finger on that indent right there to lock it, pull on the handle to unlock. We have that for the front and rear doors. And check this out when we open up. Surprise! There's a giant running board. And I mean giant down here. Look at this thing. Huge. You've got this gloss back bottom, a silver painted top that feels really high quality, the Maybach crest off to the right hand side, these grippy panels for your feet. I love it. And I realized I mocked the GLS63 for having a running board because the vehicle sat low enough and the running board was just kind of like in your way, kind of hit your ankles all the time. This one I can't mock because it's just extravagant. And it's like rolling out the red carpet for someone getting into this vehicle. It's cool. Can't hate on it. When you close the door, soft close, very nice. The running board is like it was never there. It just disappears, tucks up nice and neat under the body. Subtlety is luxury. And now let's take a peek inside the cabin. Now you tell me, is the monotone black sort of a letdown? When you look at this cardinal red exterior with all the chrome bits and it's like flashy and awesome and extravagant, then you get inside and it's like, oh, it's just like one color and it's just dark. That for me was a letdown, especially when they have all these duotone options now for the Maybach GLS. You can choose like a cream and caramel interior, which would look fantastic with like the open pore wood that's standard in the vehicle. Instead, they went black with some great contrast stitch and pinstripes. I wouldn't have chosen this, not personally. It can look so much better. But if you can get past that, which I'm still trying to do, then you can start to appreciate the quality of the materials and just the nice touch points throughout this cabin. And all of it is standard. The only options you're gonna pay for, I will point out, at least on this vehicle, and there aren't that many of them, and they don't really raise the price that much higher. So you're getting a lot for your money here. More on that later. Looking at the seats, these are bespoke to the Maybach GLS. So they're gonna have a different design for the leather layering, and they're more comfortable, more supportive. We've got leather all over the place, even down here where this would normally be plastic or injection molded. It's covered in leather with a stitching pattern on it. Heating, ventilation, and massaging functionality are standard. You can control the heating and ventilation from here on the doors. You got 3 modes for each of those. Such nice seats. So comfortable. And then I already mentioned the pinstriping for the trim. This is one of the options. As standard, you get 10-year aged open pore wood that looks amazing. And if you're a tactile person, then you'll like the feel of the open pore. Instead, you can choose this like $850 high gloss black, which will smudge and scratch, like those pieces right there. I just don't love high gloss black, but you can choose it as an option, and you get these flowing lines that run throughout. They're pinstripes. I would not choose that, not personally. It's here on the door panel as well for another look at it. I guess it's kind of cool, but it's just not how I would spec the vehicle personally. All of your seat controls are going to be on the door, just like every other Mercedes-Benz vehicle. And when you press that button right there, I'm going to put the vehicle in accessory mode to do that. Wake up. There's the Maybach logo right there, and Maybach written out on the infotainment. Ooh, and then you get the vehicle doing a wake-up call. But now, when I hit this button here, I can control the right-hand seat. So if you are chauffeuring someone around, you don't want to make your passenger have to move that seat up. So you, whoa. So you can control it for them by pressing that button and then operating the seat like you would your own. That's pretty neat. These Burmester speaker covers in metal are among the most intricate of any luxury vehicle. They look so cool. They're real metal, of course. This one has got ambient lighting that surrounds it. And it's the standard Burmester high-end 3D sound system, or sorry, not standard. That is standard on the vehicle. It is not a standard sound system though. This is coming from a non-audiophile. I typically just like, oh, that's good or that's not good. This one is really nice. Very nice sound system. Looking at the leather all over the door panel is nice. You got a knurled finish on the door lock or unlock thing. Stitching in here, more leather, contrast stitching there, more stitching, leather all the way down here. These big, beautiful Burmester speaker covers, leather all up in here. This is even covered in leather. That's very nice. And then your trunk release, pull it once, and it'll lift up pretty high. Then you got to hold it down, because if you let it go, it'll stop halfway. So that's the door panel, window switches. Even this would be a cheaper plastic on other Mercedes-Benz vehicles. It feels like really nice. And then these all have a metallic cover to them. You can pull that to control the sun shades for the back. Let's see. Ooh. And there's a sunshade for that rear 3/4 window as well. So you can control that from here. You've got to be able to control that as the driver if you're chauffeuring someone around. You got to make it so nice for them. They don't have to lift a finger. Power folding window, or door mirrors rather, and you can control them there. And now let's hop on in and let the fun continue. So contrast stitching and leather all up on this dashboard. And there's leather on the headliner. There's leather all throughout the headliner. And I know Alcantara is like the new darling of performance luxury SUVs, but when it's real leather, it's just like a cut above, especially with stitching like this. It's so nice. That's a big baller move right there. Mercedes-Maybach, that is nice. And these sun visors have stitching and leather all over them. This is the only cheaper piece, the plastic cover there. And of course, they slide, and you've got an additional sun visor, also in leather. They didn't even cheap out on this one. That's nice. Also in leather there. So you got full coverage from the nasty sun. The A-pillar and B-pillar are all in leather. This is all leather. The grab handle is in leather with stitching. Yeah, they went the extra mile for sure. You can't get this amount of extended leather in a regular GLS. You can get extended leather on the dashboard and like down here, but you can't get it on the headliner. You can't get it on the A and B pillars. And that is the distinction right there. Now looking at the dashboard and how it's oriented, we've got these rectangular, that was the word I was trying to say, air vents that run across. And this AC system is wild, because it's one of the most sophisticated in the market, if not the most sophisticated in the market right now. What they did for the Maybach is they put this coating on each of the air vent slats so that there wouldn't be a whistling noise of the air coming out of the vents, because that would be disruptive. Another thing that might be disruptive is vibration of the air vents. So they put bushings on each of the air vents so they won't vibrate. That's all in the name of luxury, in the name of safety. There's sensors outside the vehicle that will detect whether air quality has dropped below a certain level or whether you're about to enter a tunnel, and it will close up all the windows so that you're not having to breathe in any of that bad air. And then there are also sensors inside the vehicle to make sure that whatever air temperature you set it at, it stays there. It doesn't move. So that's the AC system. It's pretty sweet. Let's close up this door. You can start to hear how quiet it is in here. Let the soft close do its thing. Fire up this vehicle. It's going to beep at me a couple times. And now we're looking at, this is one of the other options for this vehicle, the wood leather steering wheel. You can just have it all leather as standard. This one wood leather, and it's hard to tell it's wood because it's covered in the same black high gloss stuff, but it is wood under there, and it's pretty nice. I mean, the feel of it is pretty darn good. If you don't want just leather, this is a pretty nice option. I'm okay with that. I'm also okay with the Maybach printed down here, and it has depth to the characters of the letters. So that feels pretty cool. Also leather cover for the horn airbag. This in other Mercedes-Benz vehicles is injection molded. Here they went the extra mile. It's leather with the stitching on the outside. Super nice. All of your controls on your steering wheel will operate this one. This quadrant over here will control that 12.3-inch display. This quadrant over here controls this 12.3-inch display. Together, they're operating off of Mercedes-Benz's latest operating system, MBUX, which is such a good system, so customizable, responsive, graphically beautiful. It's good. It's all good. The only thing I don't like about operating the system are these capacitive touch controllers. They, in theory, work like a smartphone where you can swipe to access things, but if you're a normal human being and your hands ever get sweaty or clammy or anything like that, they just won't work. They won't respond to your touch. So I encounter, because my hands get that way, I encounter this issue all the time where they're just not being responsive to what I wanted to do. It's frustrating, and I feel like until they've either changed the human race or they've made these perfectly responsive, I would prefer more physical, like scroll wheels or dials or something like that to adjust the settings on here instead of being frustrated when this isn't responding, especially when the idea is to reduce distraction and frustration. If you're adding some of that back in, not so great. So yes, that is how you can control this left side display. I'm not going to go through all the different settings, but I can have, for example, the map take over the full screen. I can control what's on the center display here. Do I want trip information? Do I want assistance information? Do I want media, radio, all that? I can also change the fascia for the display. You can go understated, which just makes that screen go blank, and this just gives you minimal information now. Very zen, very calming. You got your speed and then a clock over there. I'll go back to progressive now. And then let's see, we've got some other options over here. Sport just makes all the gauges go yellow. Classic, this is the best one. I would just leave it here most of the time because, this doesn't feel like classic. Maybe I'm not in classic. I guess I was. Standard, I guess, is what I meant to say. Standard is very unstandard. They look really cool. They look like they're almost physical, and you have the Maybach logo right there on the speed and tachometer, and then you can change out the information in the center. You can change up the information on each of the dials too. So you swipe over, and then you can rotate through your fuel consumption, your eco data, your navigation, G-meter if you need that in this vehicle, assistance features, how your 4MATIC all the drive system's working, how the suspension's working. You can show all that on each of these displays. Same for the left-hand side. So it's pretty sweet how you can customize it to just your preferred settings. So you have just the information you care about right there. And then we have this Mondo head-up display that you can adjust what shows up in each of these quadrants. It's got the speed there. Go to the left one, we can change up this off-road stuff, direction, and your degrees of angle on your car. Going to the right-hand side, that was showing some active safety information, our all-wheel drive system, the air suspension, posted speed limit, and then down below that, we're gonna have that which will illuminate green when you're using the active safety features, and then your radio station is just to the right of that. So that's your giant head-up display. That's all the ways you can adjust in there. So customizable, so cool. And then this quadrant over here, controlling that 12.3-inch display. Again, same issue where sometimes it just doesn't want to work. But that's one way you can control it. The other way is using voice commands. I do love the knurled finishes for these dials right here. Details, tactile, very nice. So you can use voice commands, or you can say, hey, Mercedes-Benz, I've turned it off because I said Mercedes like 5 or 6 times while driving the vehicle, didn't mean to turn it on, and it would activate the voice assistant, which can control, it'll like raise or lower the temperature in the vehicle if you needed to, or point you to a restaurant that you like. Any of those things with the voice assistant is neat. Your volume control is here. So those are another way you can control it. You can also use this trackpad right here. And this is really the way I use it most of the time, because this is ultra responsive, and it reduces distraction for me because my right hand can just rest on the Maybach crested hand rester thing. That's the technical term for it. And then just use the trackpad. And when you're in here, and I forgot about the fourth way you can control it. So you got this, you got the voice commands, you have the trackpad, and of course the fourth way is just to touch it. So yes, however you prefer to use your infotainment, you can choose that particular method. I prefer the trackpad because it also reduces all the smudges that show up on this infotainment. You've got navigation as standard, and you can see this thing is just really responsive, very cool. When you want to input a destination, you can use voice commands to do that. You can draw on your stuff. Let's see how good it is at picking up the terrible writing. There you go, figured it out. Terrible writing, figured that out. That's cool. Along with the navigation system, you have augmented reality, which is an option in other Mercedes-Benz vehicles. Is standard here, where it'll give you a front-facing camera display of what's going on when you get to intersections, or if you have turn-by-turn navigation, it'll overlay directional arrows with whatever you're needing it to show you at that time. Pretty neat. HD radio and Sirius XM is standard. To connect your device, This is a bit of a bummer. Yes, you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but unlike a lot of the latest generation luxury vehicles that have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, this one you have to plug in. So you got to go in and plug in right there into that USB-C to use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It'll then pull it up and it won't take over the full screen. It just takes over one area of the screen. So it's a bit of a letdown not having wireless and not letting it just be well integrated enough to take over the full display. Apart from that, it's great. We go in here, we got comfort. You've got all of your massaging choices in here. Seat comfort will give you the seat kinetics, which is just basically like just jostles your body, keeps it fresh while you're driving. Ambient lighting, so cool in this vehicle. At night, I'll show you some footage. It's amazing how this cabin looks. It's so cool. You've got 64 colors to choose from if you want to do this individual scroll wheel here to pick, or you can choose multicolor options that can change color while you're watching it. It's just amazing. The ambient lighting system is so cool. Energizing comfort, this one I just don't touch at all. It's like, it'll give you music, and let's try well-being. It'll pump some fragrance from the fragrance-o-meter in here, from that jar of fragrance, and it'll play some music. I turned off the radio, but there we go. Okay, we're done with that. So that's the energizing comfort. Go out of here. Info is going to just show you some data on how your vehicle is performing. This one, I think, just shows you acceleration and braking. Engine is going to be kind of the same, your torque and power. Fuel consumption, that's all there. Mercedes and Me apps for restaurants and traffic and weather and all that. Settings in here is how you're going to have this quick access menu, so you can turn on and off lane keep assist and all the other active safety features. You can turn on and off the head-up display. We've got assistance, and this is, you're going to get into assistance a little later. Here you can set up your dynamic drive mode, your individual configuration. This one is not going to be as adjustable as some other vehicles, other AMG vehicles, where you got like 3 modes you can adjust. Here you just kind of comfort and sport. Then let's see, what else do we got? What else? That's going to kind of do it for the infotainment. Talked about the AC system and how crazy complex it is. If you want to individually control the air, you can do this. You can press on this to bring up a full HVAC system menu. Pretty neat. And then down here, you've got a wireless smartphone charging pad. You have those 2 USB-C ports. You've got a DC socket there. These cup holders are rad. You get standard heated and cooled cup holders. And cooled goes blue, heated goes red. There we go. That's what I was looking for. And the cup holders themselves are very large. We'll see if they can fit my big bottle in a second. Here is your key. The differences between a standard Mercedes-Benz key and the Maybach key is that this one is covered in bright chrome, and you've got the Maybach logo on the back. That's effectively the only differences, those 2 right there. If you want more, sort of a letdown. Here, piano black cover right here, knurled finish for the opener, which is nice, but I don't love the piano black. I would really much prefer the wood. What I do love is this stitching and the leather feel, ambient lighting around these grab handles, which grab handles are like very much a utility vehicle thing, but here they work. It all just works. Here we have controls for our drive mode selection. So if I press this, we can go through the modes. We've got individual that I just went through, sport mode, comfort mode, Maybach mode, which I'll speak more about during the driving impressions, curve mode, speak more about that during driving impressions, off-road mode, this one's pretty cool. So you think Maybach SUV does not belong off-road, and that's very much true. If you do find yourself off-road, as like Rolls-Royce and Land Rover and Bentley are all trying to prove that their big luxury SUVs can go off-road, this one has an air suspension system that'll raise, and when you go into gear and you hit this button right here, you're going to come up with some other modes here. This recovery mode you may have seen on the Mercedes-Benz GLE in certain videos with the vehicle hopping, and you have it here on the Maybach. And it's used to get you out of trouble off-road, but what happened? Did I take it out of off-road mode? Might have done that. I might have turned it off. It's used to take you out of a troubled zone off-road if you're stuck in sand or mud or anything like that. But it's also just fun to just bounce. And it gets more violent. It gets more violent as the seconds go by, to the point where you're like, how do I turn it off? Okay, so there's recovery mode. Then you have individual wheel control. You can raise or lower one wheel at a time. Go on down. It's actually funny because it actually sounds like, whoa, like it's sad that you're lowering the wheel. Then raise it back up. So that's all cool. Those are just fun to play around with. If you're off-road, I guess they're going to be useful, but I would not take this thing off-road personally, and I don't think any people will. Anyone who buys it. Suggestions, different themes for your display. This one, you just have the basic one right now. Adventure. Ooh, adventure is exciting. Let's do that. Oh, adventure will give you the, maybe this is for off-roading. It'll show you your camera angles. That's cool. And then we also have favorites, where you can customize all of this. There's so many ways to customize this thing. You've got the idea. Standard Wi-Fi hotspot as well. And now looking beyond, I showed you, did I show you the camera system? No, I haven't yet. So you've got parking sensors. It will assist you parking for perpendicular or horizontal. Nope, perpendicular or just straight in spots. Man, that was difficult for me. Front facing wide camera, narrow with the overhead view, one at each wheel, wide rear, and a narrow rear. All of that makes it really easy to maneuver this vehicle. Telephone, radio, nav, and then a volume control off to the right-hand side. Back here, this is how you control your air suspension individually. It only goes down, not up. You can raise or lower the vehicle. I was going to see if anything showed up there. It didn't. Manual mode. Yes, there is a manual mode to use the paddles on this vehicle. Sorry, this was the suspension firmness. This is the the ride height for the air suspension. Traction control and a downhill ascent control. Basically cruise control for going downhill off-road when you're doing all of the off-roading you're not going to actually do. The glove box covered in leather and with that contrast stitching, so nice. Yeah, that's an ambient lighting surround there as well. I think. I hope I'm not making that up. I am making that up. That's not ambient lighting. It's just glossed metallic finish. Your glove box, not a ton of space there. I showed you the leather headliner here. Let's look. We've got some lights that get very bright at night. Pretty impressive. Another cool Burmester speaker cover in here. Borderless rear view mirror. There's another place where there's a bit of cheap plastic just to the back. And I guess you are going to touch that. That's one of the only places that you would touch that there is not the finest quality materials in here. This is how you control the cover, the sunshade for your giant panoramic sunroof. This thing is huge, humongous. This vehicle, I guess, does things big. The running board, this. What else? I don't know. Other stuff. Goes back. And then when it's all the way back, you'll use the same controller to open or close the sunroof. Takes a second. Get there. Press up, give you a little ventilation. Push back. Let's see how far it opens up. I think it's gonna stop like right there. Oh, a little further. It's like a oversized sunroof opening. It's not gonna go all the way back. You can try pressing it a million other times, try holding it. It won't go back any further. You do have this wind baffle there. Oh, there's to manually control it to go back? That seems annoying. Okay. So that is the front area. And now it's time to dive back into the rear seats, which there's, as much as there was up here, there's so much more back there. Did I leave it in off-road mode? I did. I need to take it out of off-road mode so that the running boards will go down. They won't go down if you stay in off-road mode. Ooh, because we're going in the back, let's try Maybach mode. Getting to the back, opening up, running board's working again, and just such a thick slab. Look at that, size 12 shoe fits really easily on there. Looking inside, you can see we have the 4-seater configuration here. You can choose a 5-seater configuration. Maybe if you've got a family, you need to use that 5th seat, or you're chauffeuring people around New York and they need to slide easily from one side of the car to the next, that center console area would make that very difficult. So 5-seater is possible. 4-seater is where it's at though. You get these executive chairs, you get a huge cushy headrest, you get a lumbar back pillow with Maybach branding on it, and you get a footrest, power operated footrest. Looking at the door panels, just like the front, covered in leather, knurled finishes, and here you have some controls to raise or lower your sun visors, your sun blinds. And you can pull this switch and it will close up the overhead blind. Heating and ventilation, and you've got this control here to make that seat move if you wanted to do it yourself. And then controls here that I'll get to in a second that'll raise up the seat, that will make it its most reclined position. Illuminated kick plates. On the back of the seats, you've got, you can see some of the ambient lighting right now. Maybach crest and that pinstriped trim, just like the front. In here, we've got air vents, stitched leather on the door panels. Ooh, a real metal hook for your coat, sir. And now let's hop in. And close the door. Soft close me up, baby. Got it. You can see the ambient lighting now that we're in the shade. Pretty rad. So both passengers as standard get a 11.6-inch display that works just like the MBUX system up there. You can control basically all the same things. Navigation, media, radio, comfort, we'll show you. You can raise or lower sun blinds from back here. You can close everything up, open everything up. Seat comfort, adjust your seat lumbar, your headrest, and all that. Again, you can do those things here, or just for redundancy, do them here, and then choose your massage. I guess those are all your choices, but they're pretty extensive and they're very comfortable. So that's the 11.6-inch display, and you can plug in your headphones and use it that way. You also have this 7-inch tablet here. Power it on, eject it. You can use this just like you can the same systems, control the same things. You can use it just like a tablet to surf the web if you want, and you can use it as a remote control. So if you are leaned back in your maximum recline setting, let's just do that just for fun, shall we? So we're gonna see that front seat go up and away. The leg lift is going to lift me up, and at 6 feet tall, this is a tight squeeze here. So I'm peeking the toes back so that my legs aren't touching, or my feet aren't touching the leather on the back, but you're probably gonna have your feet off, your shoes off. You can have your feet off. Yeah, they're gonna just go ahead and take those off for you. You'll have your shoes off so that even if you're resting on the seat back, it's no problem. But yeah, now I'm kind of reclined, and the only other thing I'm gonna adjust is to, oh, never mind. I'm already sitting as lounging as possible. And again, here is where, if you were a shorter fellow or lady, this would be very beneficial. I could lean back a bit more, as is, and scooch forward just a bit more than I would like in this position. But I could still take a nap back here. I can still take a nap from this position. It would be more comfortable if I was shorter. You can see this panoramic sunroof goes really far back. This is just in front of my head here. And that's so nice, brings in so much light to the cabin. Oh man, this is bad. I'm just getting very comfortable. Very, very comfortable right now. All right, back to the review. Come on, Miles. In here, we've got a wireless smartphone charging pad. And I just want to count all the chargers because it's kind of crazy. 1, 2, USB-C. 1, 2, USB-C, so that's 4, plus the 5 of the wireless smartphone charging pad. There are 6, 7 in that front area, and 8 with the charging pad. And then in here, I didn't actually show you this, but I can't get to it now because I'm leaning back. There's another USB-C, so that's 9 ways to charge your devices in this thing. Crazy. I also want to point this out. In other Mercedes-Benz vehicles, this piece is in plastic. In this one, this is all leather and then carpeting. All leather. They went crazy on the details to make sure that everything you touch is high-end. So rad. Quad zone climate control, so we got 2 up there, 2 back here for each of these rear passengers. And what else can I show you? Ah, yes, of course. We've got heated and cooled cup holders here with 2 different sizes for your bottles. And, well, now I need to put the seat back to show you this next thing because I can't actually reach it. I have to hold it? No. Just hold it for more than 1 second. Oh no, I left some marks on the seat backs. My mistake. Okay, this other thing is really cool. So, one of the options in this vehicle is a champagne fridge and champagne flutes. So you just closed the deal of a lifetime and you want to celebrate. Well, thankfully, you can just pull this tab. Check this out. An old finish, that's nice. Maybach right there with the pinstriping. Pull this tab, open up. You've got this felt area where your champagne flutes would rest. This model right here, I guess I don't have that option because these are separate from the champagne fridge. And then open this up and there is your fridge. It can fit 3 750 milliliter bottles of champagne, but because I can't afford that and they didn't give it to me, I went and got this tiny little doohick. Look at that. Tiny little bottle of champagne, but it is nice and cold in that fridge. And then I also didn't get champagne flutes, so I went out and bought these ones at Target. They are plastic and glittery. I thought they were going to be the right size to fit in here because I wanted to show you something cool about these. If they fit and you press down, then it will close up like, here, let me pull this out and show you. Close up like that to seal your champagne flute and make sure it doesn't go swishy swashy in the car while you're driving. That's pretty cool. The whole champagne fridge setup is cool. And I'm just sad I can't afford champagne flutes or a champagne fridge, but hey, life goes on. So that's that option. Ooh, this is nice. Nice detailing. You get the Maybach right there on the flute holder. And then up and away it goes. Up and away it goes. This is all covered in leather, all so nice. And then this wood partition is going to separate this area from the trunk so that these passengers shouldn't have to hear any of the disturbing things that might be going on in the back of the Maybach GLS. Disturbing things being putting luggage in the back. You shouldn't have to hear that. I'll get to that when I get to the trunk. So yeah, these are your TIGs in the back of the Maybach GLS. So extravagant, so nice. Yet another massive speaker cover with ambient lighting. All of this leather in here. You are just lounging in the back, especially in this seat, especially with a 4-seater configuration. So nice. So nice. And now finally, let's check out the trunk. It's the least exciting part of the vehicle, but I got to show it to you anyway. Pops it open. Look inside. And because of that champagne fridge, it cuts in to cargo capacity significantly. Whereas otherwise there would be, I think, almost 20 or 18.5 cubic feet of space back here. With the champagne fridge, pardon me, it cuts into that somewhat. There's my backpack, normal size backpack for reference. You could maybe put 2 good sized suitcases on their sides up in here and a backpack or some squishier bag in the center. But I don't know, travel light-ish, I suppose, if you've got the 4-seater setup with a champagne fridge. Otherwise, you know, gonna be a good storage area. You do have control of your air suspension, so you can lower it from here to make getting your bags in that much easier. Lower it on down. Still lowering, still lowering, still lowering. And we're good. It's now sitting on its wheels a little more. And so the lift over height is much lower. It's just gonna be so much easier to put your stuff in the back. More details in the back that I am pretty keen on. This is a full leather cargo cover. You got Maybach crest right there. Look at the backs of these. Look at the speaker covers integrated in there, Burmester, nice and large. The wood paneling back here is so extravagant, so cool. Yeah, this is a pretty stunning interior. And the final detail being leather all over the back of the tailgate. They didn't skimp out, that's for sure. Close on up. And my goodness, this has been extensive. But you know what? This vehicle has that much to show. So, it's time for one more test, and then we'll be on our way. We've got the big bottle test. Let's see. Will it fit in the Maybach GLS? Front cup holders? Oh, yes. Yes. Not surprised because it fit in the GLS 63, but still so satisfying. And if you have a smaller bottle, of course, that's what that tab is for. Center console. Will it fit? No, not in the center console. Door? Let's see. Well, I mean, you wouldn't want your bottle facing that way anyway. Let's try it this way. Okay, it might work. Let's see. Can I close the door and have it stay? Yes. All right. 2 spots. 2 spots. I mean, glove box, I don't really care. You know what? It fits easily in 2 spots in the Maybach GLS, so it's a pass on that big bottle test. And with no further ado, let's rev it up and get going. Unlike my typical review, which starts off with a blast of power, maybe even launch control, and me talking about how exciting the exhaust note is and how potent the engine is, this one is going to be far more mellow. Because even though we have the engine-coated M177 4-liter bi-turbo V8 paired with a 48-volt starter generator called EQ Boost, it's the same one found in the Mercedes-AMG GLS63. Here, it's been detuned and recalibrated along with a 9-speed multi-clutch automatic gearbox for absolute smoothness. There's never going to be a question of passing power or ability to get up to speed because you've got 550 horsepower and 538 pound-feet of torque, but it's not set up to blow the doors off the vehicle. It's just going to be smooth. Now, granted, it can do 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds when you really get on the throttle and make something of a noise, a good noise, when you get on it. But that's just background information, along with 130 miles an hour top speed. Just background information. Really, this is just about a smooth ride. And so you also have paired with that 4MATIC 4-wheel drive that's working permanently, and so you can send up to 100% of the power to the front axle or rear axles, mostly again used for in wet weather situations or just to be as smooth as possible. Not really a performance thing. But you also have things that are going to make it the best luxury vehicle possible. You have a standard air suspension, which you would kind of expect in a vehicle of this caliber. Then we also have what Mercedes-Benz calls e-active body control. And that uses a front-facing camera to scan the road ahead and make sure there aren't any bumps or bruises coming up. If there are, it will set up the suspension, prepare it to dampen that stuff before it gets into the cabin and disrupts the passengers. It works really, really well, along with the EQ Boost triggering the active anti-roll bars so that it really just mitigates any body roll in this vehicle at all. There's even a drive mode called Curve that when you set that up, it will use the air suspension and the active anti-roll bars to counterbalance any body roll that the vehicle would otherwise have in a corner. So Curve sounds like I'm gonna go hit some canyons, but in this vehicle, it's really just to make sure that there's no undulation of your body in the car at all. It's really impressive. So yes, we've got all those technologies working for you, along with all that they've done to reduce any ambient volume in this cabin. So you've got improved cabin insulation, you've got dual pane glass here with a laminate on the outside, and it's really filtering any real strong wind or road noise getting into the cabin. The only small critique I have from a comfort and tranquility standpoint would be that, like other Mercedes-Benz vehicles, when you go over a bump, you can kind of hear them. You don't feel them, but when you hear them, your brain thinks that you're feeling them, and it can get kind of confusing. The suspension is really, really good at filtering out stuff, but I wonder why, even with this improved insulation, you can hear some of the bumps. That's my only small critique, because from an otherwise luxury standpoint, this vehicle is sensational, as is the way that it brakes. The brake pedal is not going to be jarring in any way. The way the throttle responds is going to be smooth in pretty much all regards, and you can calibrate that based on your drive mode. You do have a sport mode, which will improve throttle response just a little bit. You do also have a Maybach mode. In addition to the comfort mode, which is kind of like general vehicle comforts, you've got a Maybach mode, which optimizes the rear passenger comforts. So think of it kind of like a chauffeur mode, because this vehicle is set up where it could be a chauffeured vehicle. I mean, this 4-seater configuration where you're basically business class back there, I can really see this being used as a chauffeur vehicle. So using the Maybach mode does a couple things. One, it'll do things like it'll set up the 9-speed to shift already to second gear and start out from there. So there's going to be ultimate smoothness getting off the line. Then it will also optimized the suspension for those rear passengers. So their comfort is paramount. Doesn't matter if you're just a little less comfortable up front, the rear seat passengers, they need to be maximum comfort. And that's really like a safety net for anyone who's going to be a chauffeur. It's like your cheat button. You press the Maybach drive mode, and now you know that the vehicle's set up to really optimize the rear passenger comfort. It's a pretty sweet deal. So yes, it's quiet in here. Visibility is very good. Despite having those giant pillow headrests there, you can still see out the back, and you also have things like standard blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, and then all of the active safety features that you would normally have to pay extra for in Mercedes-Benz vehicles are here as standard. So lane keeping assist, steering assistance, lane change assist, adaptive cruise control, all of that is bundled in with the Maybach package, and that really, those features really work supremely well on the highway. This isn't Mercedes-Benz still figuring out the kinks. They've dialed it in. I think it's the best of any luxury manufacturer in terms of the way it's used, the ease of use for the driver, and I mean, you can keep your hands off the wheel for a long time. Not in an unsafe way, you gotta be paying attention, but if you're paying attention and the scanner says, yeah, he's looking right ahead, then you can keep your hands off the wheel and really feel at ease. Now here I'm getting up to highway speeds, doing 65 miles an hour, and I mean, there's just a tiny bit of road noise, but apart from that, it's so tranquil in here, so nice, and the ride quality is incredible. You can just stay in comfort mode all the time and be fine, but you have those extra drive modes if you have specific applications for them. This is just a wonderful vehicle to drive. So nice. I got in it and I immediately felt at ease. And that for me is the test, because I compare it to one of the vehicles that this is rivaling, the Cullinan. When I got into that, I immediately just sort of like the tension left my shoulders and I was just chilling. That's exactly how I felt in the Maybach. And now that's a great transition to speaking of the Maybach GLS's competitors. So starting price for the Maybach GLS is gonna be $161,850, which yes, is $63,000 more than the GLS 580. But all of the standard features that this has, all of the niceties, the luxuries, the technologies, the leather, all of that bundled on top of a 580 would get it into the 130, 140 grand territory anyway, before you add in all the Maybach touches. So it's actually kind of a value. And when you think about the vehicles that it competes against. So we've got the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, which is double the starting figure for this vehicle. Double, $326,000. It doesn't make really much more power at all, 562 horsepower from its twin turbo V12. The 0 to 60 is right around the same. And I mean, you have to love the styling of the Rolls-Royce. You definitely have better ride quality in that vehicle and increased cabin insulation. It is coffin silent in the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. That was the message that was driven home for me when I got behind the wheel. It was just so quiet. But you gotta like the look. You also have to like the look of this vehicle too, but just putting it out there. Then we have the Bentley Bentayga V8, which is gonna start right around the same price as this, $166,000 for that one. It's gonna make 542 horsepower. It's gonna be a bit quicker to 60, but who cares? You've gotta think about what the Bentayga offers that this doesn't. And honestly, apart from maybe some fit and finish of the material quality, you feel like maybe they're better quality metals or better quality woods. In this one, we don't have wood. That's an option. I kind of feel like some of the interior details on the Bentayga are a bit better than this Maybach GLS. But apart from that, it has nothing on this vehicle. This vehicle is just as comfortable or more comfortable. Inside, it's supremely nice with all the technologies. I think this is really an elevation over the Bentayga V8. Then we have the Land Rover Range Rover SVAutobiography. That's going to make about exactly the same power, 550 horsepower from its supercharged V8. It's going to cost $179,000, so a little more than this. And yes, it's going to be capable off-road, and the ride quality is very good. But apart from that, it doesn't really have anything on this Maybach GLS. And so when you look at the spread here, looking at those vehicles, all of them costing more than this, in some cases small amounts more, but all of them costing more, and all of them seemingly doing the same things, and in some cases not as well as the Maybach GLS, you have to see this vehicle as a ridiculous bargain. It is a bargain. It doesn't say bargain in any of the exterior interior styling. Some parts of the exterior I don't love, In terms of the design language, some parts of the interior I wish were a little higher quality. You can hear some creaks from certain panels in here. But there's such small details. There's such small details. The Maybach GLS kills it in all regards, and the most important one is how you feel as a passenger and as a driver, and that is like the king of the world. That's just it. So the Mercedes-Maybach GLS600 is an infinite success. They've crushed it with this one. It's worth the Maybach name. It's worth the premium over the GLS 580, and that's all there is to say about that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you again next time.